Welcome to today's episode of What Are We Building? Now today we're going to be working on something that I don't need either of these for, so I'm going to put these down before I hurt myself. We're actually going to be working on a few cabinet doors for a built-in that I just started yesterday. To determine what size doors you want, you're going to need to know what hinges you're going to use. So in our case, I'm going to be using 1/2 inch overlay hinges, which means that the door is going to hang a 1/2 inch over the face frame on the hinged side. I like to match the other side so it's an even overlay. So we are at 20 3/4, so we're going to make that door 21 3/4 wide. And then for our height, we're at 21 1/2, so we'll make that 22 1/2, and that'll leave a 1/2 inch overlay on all 4 sides. So because I am painting these doors, I'm going to be using a wood called poplar for our rails and stiles. Poplar's a hardwood. It's on the softer side of hardwoods, but it's awesome for painted projects. So the term rails and stiles just refers to the frame that goes around the outside of the door. The top and bottom are your rails, and the 2 sides are your stiles. Your center section is called your panel. First thing is to get all of our lengths cut over on the miter saw. Now that we got everything cut, we're going to run everything through the jointer so that we can flatten one side and square up one of the edges. I know a lot of people get confused with the jointer and the planer, and they think they're the same machine, but they're 2 totally different machines. If you want to know more about what a jointer does, let me know in the comments. So now we're going to run all of those through the planer. The sole purpose of a planer is to achieve an even thickness throughout the entire length of your board. And the next stop on our fabulous journey through the land of sawdust and wood glue is the table saw. So this is where we're going to cut the final width to our rails and stiles, because they're all a little bit different at the moment. We're going to rip them all down to 3 inches. And now to the router table. This is going to allow us to route out a groove so that the panel can sit in between the rails and stiles, and we're going to be able to glue up the rails and stiles together. This first router bit that you see is only used on the rails section of the door. Now this next router bit is going to be used on both the rails and the stiles. It's going to give us the groove that the 1/4 inch panel will sit in. So at this point, I like to get a nice quick sand on the inside of these rails and stiles, because after we put that plywood panel in between those, it's going to make it a lot harder to sand that smooth. So our next step is to cut our 1/4 inch plywood panels. We made it, the final part of the build, the glue up. So what we're going to do is take our rails and insert our panel into our rail. Now we're going to take our secret sauce, and you're going to just put it on the end of the rails here. You don't want to run it all the way down the panel, because you want to allow for expansion between the different joints. So now I'm going to add a clamp on this end, as well as this end. And you don't want to tighten your clamp too much because you don't want the door to start to cup. The last and most important step of this entire thing is to make sure it's square, because if this glue dries and it's not square, you're going to have some crooked doors on your cabinet. So the easiest way to do this is take a tape measure, hook it on one corner, drag it to the opposite corner. We got 32 3/8. And now do the same thing on the other side. 32 3/8. That's how you know you're square. Now I'm going to take these doors, set them down here, let them sit overnight. And then tomorrow, I'll sand them down.